Well, good morning, everybody. Glad you're still here. It's Friday. I was here earlier in the week, so we're going to have some fun. And, you know, I know in Friday you're thinking, who's got to travel back today? All right, fair enough. I fly out Sunday night, so we're all over the place. I'm actually in Atlanta, so at least you didn't have to leave and go sit in 2 hours of traffic going back and forth, so it's good stuff. Today, you have a book in front of you, and just so you understand, we're going to be going through we're going to learn how to communicate in a new way. And you've heard of models probably over time of different human communication models. This is not a model of what's your favorite dog or what's your favorite animal or what's your favorite color. I can promise you the very center crux of the book you have is spent an hour of doing this very solidly, and I'm going to explain the backdrop of that. But there's going to be some interactivity to keep you up, keep you awake, and we're going to have some fun. And I think you'll walk away with some things you learn. This is a great chance for self-reflection. This is a great chance to think about people you work with, people in your life, people that are customers. And I'd encourage you, as you go through, let's go ahead and do this. I'm going to have it in a slide in a minute. But I want you to go ahead and think right now. You got yourself you're going to be thinking about. But I want you to go ahead and write in a piece of paper that only you can see if someone that really annoys you. Someone, a customer, a friend, a spouse, a brother-in-law, sister-in-law, somebody just gets on your nerves. That you're always like, man, really? That's your thought. Kidding me? So I don't care where you write it. Just put them somewhere. Small. And when we're going to come back to that, I want you to look at this. It's going to be very important, so go ahead and do it now. All right. So here's the adaptive communications model. What are we trying to do? We're trying in this session to become better communicators. Who wants to be a better communicator? We all do. Written, verbally, listening, etc. This model, what I was getting at is, somebody was telling me the other day, they said, yeah, you know, I was looking at your book, and it's kind of like that thing, the dog or the color or what flower you like. This is not like that at all. This is based upon Myers-Briggs certification, DISC certification, emotional intelligence certification, doctoral research, and a ton of practical observation. This has nothing to do with what your favorite dog or color is. So this is grounded in research, but I made it easy to understand. So I want you to know, people come up after the session and go, man, that one thing really resonated with me. So this is solid, and it's in the book, and I want you to know that. So what are we trying to do? This is going to help you understand how to adapt your communication style to meet others' needs. What does that mean? If you're communicating with another human being, you have got to adapt your style to relate to their style. I recently was asked, isn't that against everything you said in your book? I did a session earlier this week and said, don't be gimmicky, whatever. And they said, aren't you teaching a technique, adapting your style? No. I'm not saying not be authentic. What I'm saying is, if you're Mr. Bullet Point, and you want to go bum, 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 and some guy wants to talk about their family and their story, and you're like, yeah, I don't want to hear that. Get the bump, 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 bump. You're not going to have real effective communications. On the other hand, if you're rambling in somebody's office, and they're like, get to the freaking point. I promise you, they're not really listening. At best, they're kind of glancing at their phone or their computer and going, go away. So those are the kind of things we're going to be looking at. So become more effective in your business, talking about your coworkers, your clients, and this is going to apply to every part of your life. We talked before this. We didn't do any intro. You can read the back of my background, but I teach a lot of college classes of working adults, and we walk through these exercises, and people come up and say, this meant a lot to my family, this meant a lot to my spouse. So that's the goal today. But picture yourself as we go through this, and I'm going to point out, we're going to do a couple exercises. Understand that no matter what groups I'm describing, there's going to be part of you that say, well, I'm kind of both, Ryan. I'm kind of both. It depends on if I'm at work or I'm at my home over the weekend. Well, we're all people. I'm not saying you're an A or a B. Please understand that going in. I'm saying that you're going to have some tendencies where you prefer to live. Like there's a certain room in the house that's probably your favorite room to watch TV or your favorite spot to watch TV. Does that mean you can't watch TV from another spot? I got to have some head nods. I've got a lot of lights in my eyes and I can't see the head nods. Make sure you're awake because I could. All right. So the idea is, where's your most comfortable spot to watch TV in the angle? Remembering you can go watch TV from anywhere. Okay? And the second part is this. That person you struggle with, you should have written down. It's going to be very important when we come back to this because you're going to have an aha moment like, one of these is going to resonate with you and go, that right there nailed why my coworker, my boss, my customer, and I do really well together. or struggle together. So what we're going to be covering today, I want to start off with an exercise, and this is going to shed it. Everybody got a piece of paper in front of them? Should. We got a printers group, so I hope we do. I did this actually the other day in another place, and it was very technical, and we had a bunch of Kindles and iPads, which is fine, but we couldn't write. All right, real quickly, just sign your name for me. It's not hard. Pretty easy. All right, do the exact same thing with your opposite hand. All right, so here's my question. The first time, did you really have to think about how to sign your name? I mean, how many times a day do you have to sign for something? 1 million? And you're just like, whatever. Second time. First question is, did you sign your name? Did you sign your name? How hard, was it a lot more, did you have to think about it a lot more? Was it comfortable? Would you get better at it if you broke your hand that you signed your name with? If you practiced day after day after day? But would it ever probably become as easy? That is the essence of what we're doing today. Because you in stress, a customer in stress, a coworker in stress, you are going to default to your deferred hand style. I do it all the time. We can sit here and go, well, you do this for a living, and you come up and train people. I'm like, yeah, and the moment somebody pushes my hot button, bam, I'm like right in it, and you got to go, hold on. Because you got to go to the style that you know is going to best handle the situation. It takes a ton of practice, but it's an uncomfortable style because you hear my y'all. Get some y'all? You like that? I do pretty good until I get a y'all, and when I'm in the Northeast, Northwest, like, do that again. Do what again? Y'all. I'm like, is that funny? Okay, you got it. So I like the y'all. But going to that least preferred hand is not as developed. It's uncomfortable. You can get better at it as you practice. But if you're dealing with somebody with a left-hand preference, bullet point guy, blah, 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 and you're talking over here in this language, that is the crux of the book that's in front of you. You're talking two different languages. And I don't need to explain all that because you're gonna get a chance to read it. All right, so the groups we're going to be covering are driver versus rider, speak first, think later group versus think first, speak later, big picture versus just the facts, head versus heart, and 5 o'clock sharp versus 5 o'clock somewhere. That's a good one for Friday from my friend Jimmy Buffett. All right, here we go. So, this is kind of what we think about in communication, especially when we're negotiating with, even if it's an interdepartment. What we didn't say about my background is I ran a printing company for 20 years. A lot of times when there's not an introduction, people are like, well, what does this guy know? I consult with printing companies all over the country. That's my industry I focus in. I'm out in sales and marketing, and I know the technical side. I know all that kind of stuff. So, but we deal with it's our customers or our vendors or our coworkers. It's kind of more adversarial. Sometimes we feel like we're these little chess guys, and we're going to square off between pre-press and scheduling and customer service and sales and the customer. And you'll see some stuff up here about I win, you win, I win, you lose, I win, you win, I lose, you lose, I lose, you win. We're going to come back to who's heard about, I'm sure you have, win-win. Okay. I'm going to explain what that really means. Everybody says that. Everybody says we're going to get it. Let's get a win-win. Okay, that's great. But a lot of people don't know what it means, so we're going to go over that. Well, there it is. What are we going to mean? So here's what win-win truly means. We're striving for mutually beneficial solutions. It doesn't just mean, let's come up with an answer. A win-win truly means that the alternative solution is better than either person's option alone. Win-win, most times I hear it is, let's come up with an answer. You come and do this for us and kind of do what you don't want to do, and I'll do this. That's a compromise. Those are two different things. A compromise is we both give, we're not overly happy, but we meet somewhere. A win-win is better than the sum of the two parts. Does that make sense? And people get confused. Like, compromise means you're both saying, we can settle for this. A win-win says we're happier than we were with what we started with. Huge difference. Huge difference. We're going to talk about win, lose, win, lose in just a second. So let me show you what that means. Don't worry about all the type on here. I'm just giving you, these slides are available, but I need them because there's so much information to make sure I explain it correctly. So we talked about win-win, mutual benefit in all interactions. This is principle-based. And what this should mean is if you're compromising and settling, the idea is there's no deal. Who knows, he's deceased recently, but Stephen Covey, 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. Ever read that book before, heard of him? I really like that, and I quoted him a couple times in my book, and the whole idea of win-win is principles are human-based. In other words, this is not like a flavor of the month thing like Twitter is something that's going to be around the next 10 years. It's human beings like to be listened to. They want to be appreciated. That's a principle. That's not because it's 2013. You see the difference? I mean, that's a time-tested truth. Or people like to be around people that are genuine and honest. That's a principle, not the world, new TV screens are going to come out or something. That's changing. All right, so real quick, win-win, that's what we're after. No deal means if you can't come up with something you both feel good about, you should have no deal, which would mean you're not compromising or settling. And you should keep talking and having a conversation with that coworker, with that business, until you get to that point. Because too often we walk away out of a meeting. I see it at a million printing companies, and this is what I watch. We got to have this job out today. Well, I don't know. I mean, we're pretty backlogged, machines down. Well, the customer's calling, they got to have it. Well, I don't know what you want me to do. I mean, we're already running 12s and whatever. Well, you just got to find it done. What's up with, why don't you talk to the salesperson? And they both kind of walk off, and they ultimately come around and get it done. That wasn't a win-win. At best, they're irritating each other, and they're not even on the same page for the company, which means each person in the line there, from the customer is relating to the customer service person, who may be talking to pre-press or the mailing person or the scheduler and the salesperson, and they're all kind of against each other. Like, this customer's asked for an extra day or a day faster. Like, well, you need to tell them, we're in 12s and 16s, we can't get it out. Well, they're just the messenger. Everybody has to remember they're on the same page. We know that intellectually, but I see it everywhere I go around the country. And it's so funny. I step into a place, and they're like, sorry about that, Ryan. And I'm like, oh, no, I feel quite at home. I've seen this many times. All right, real quick. Win, lose, that's competitive. I want to win, so you lose. I want you to go. I want you to print my job and make it painful for you. Do it. Maybe you'll pay me to do it. And there's people out there doing that, by the way, just about. Lose-win is, okay, whatever you want, I'm the victim, just whatever, whatever it'll be. That's not good either, because then you have this resentment built up. And then lose-lose is destructive. You know what? Shirley over there in customer service, she's not doing her job either, so I'm going to keep tabs on her. I'm going to watch what she's doing. You see that? You see that's a tick for, I'm going to keep a little tab list. Yep, on the phone, on the internet. I'm going to keep a tab list on her. Well, that's destructive. You're both losing, and everybody's totally unproductive. So think about those kind of things. Now, here's the example of a win-win. I'm going to give you a story. As I said, I ran a web offset commercial printing company, and I had a big client alumni magazine. And I was telling a printing company in Arizona this just the other day. And this helped them a lot. So see if this helps. And the idea was, I'd had it many years, very prestigious account. Not only did we print the alumni magazine, a lot of stuff in the university, also we did at other parts of the university. So kind of if you lost the flagship piece, even though if you did nothing wrong, you'd kind of look like you did something wrong to the other people throughout the university. It was solely a price issue. They were the type of people that only went out to 2 or 3 printing companies across the United States, and they vetted them out. We happened to be local in doing it, but as they got bigger, they said, everybody's coming after our business. I'd had it for many years, and we're talking about a $300,000 a year account. Not too bad. I mean, pretty nice. And a very prestigious account that opened the doors to Coca-Cola and these places of the world that, because they had endowments with the university. And finally, after we were coming up for contract renewal, and we signed a deal, and the guy said, we got to save money. I've given you a great deal. I don't have any more money to save. He said, well, I'm just telling you, I'm looking across the country, and this company here is actually in Georgia, this university in Georgia, and I said, I'm looking at Maine, Ryan, and I'm looking at Florida, and I'm looking at Nebraska, where he named 3 or 4 places. He's like, these are quality organizations, and here's what they can offer me. I'll send you the quotes. Looked at them, I'm like, man, I don't know. I don't know what to tell you. Now, at that moment in time, I'm faced with what? I either do it, and I'm the victim, and like, well, I guess I'll do it below cost, or I got to think, well, what can we do? And that's a tough place. I want you to visualize where I was. I had to think through the aspects of saying, if I do this, they pay good, they're prestigious, but really we're losing. I mean, we're not going to make any money. I also had to think through our reputation with the university, which probably another $300,000 business through about 3 clients and going, they're going to say, why aren't you printing the magazine anymore? which would have been a blow to our marketing efforts. Also, I had to deal with other universities I did business with that they came because of that. I'm like, all right, listen. I said, let me ask you a question. And this was the win-win part. I said, if I was willing to get creative here, I said, I can't save you any more money. There's no money to save on paper. There's more money to save on anything. What if you considered a model that some other private universities use that I've seen where you were willing to put a few ads into the back of your magazine? You know, they had about a 48 to 64 page, real nice gloss, you know. I'm not like the guys in today say, you know, one of those shiny gloss things, you know, like a 60-pound, 70-pound number 3. See, I can talk the lingo, gloss, you know, not coated stock kind of thing. And I said, what if we were able to do that? And he said, well, yeah, we'd be open to talking about that, but we don't have anybody to do it. I said, what if we could take it on for you? What do you mean? I said, what if we could take it on for you and we could create enough revenue to offset what you're trying to save? Long story short, that pushed all the way up the board. Here were the wins. 1, we worked up a split, so I created more revenue for my company, which meant we got to go in with this flagship brand to get into places like Coca-Cola for real and say, we're representing XYZ University and helping them grow with ads and whatever. And oh, guess what? By the way, I just happened to be here. And they're like, well, what do you do? What's your main business? Like, oh, that's funny you ask. I'm glad you asked that question. Talking to those people. Number 2, they didn't want to change, and it allowed them to accomplish that. Number 3, I got to get to the very higher ups in the university, so I was a lot deeper in the university than I was with just my buyer, because it had to go up to the VP level or higher just to say, can we really do this? Number 4, we cemented a relationship that was not based on price or whatever. It was a better solution for both sides. And I hope that resonates with you, because we ultimately went out, we made more revenue from it because we had a split with them. We offset their need to save money. We kept the account. We fended off the competition. We thought in a new way. We created a win-win. Does that make sense? All right. So that's what we're after today, and I want to explain before we go into these groups, communications, plural versus communication. You'll see in the first few chapters of the book, the whole idea, just so you know, is sales is quickly reframed in the book to communications. Because you may say, well, I'm not really in sales. Well, good. This book's for you, because this is not what the book's about. The book's about communications. We all communicate. That's why this session's about. It's about a dialogue, a conversation. This is why social media is taken off. People want to talk two-way and not be talked at. People want to be fully heard out. People want to talk with you, not at your phone, not at your computer. I can't tell you the number of times I'm speaking, I'm like this. People are like, I mean, I see it, and I'm talking to myself. I want to say that as much as the next guy. But it is terrible. I've gotten to a point, even when I go to dinner with my wife, I literally turn the phone upside down or put it in my pocket. Because, how about this, when I'm talking to my 13-year-old daughter in the morning, and she's just, when I'm working from my home office, she's sitting there at the breakfast table, and she's got her phone, and she's like, uh-huh, Dad? Mm-hmm. Yeah, really? Oh, yeah, okay. And she's got it where she can kind of like do this, and I'm like, either she's got weird eyes or she's not listening to me at all. People, and that's the essence of the book, guys, people want to deal with people still. And I mean, the whole phone thing, I deal with it as much, but this I want to say for the record, I just lost my phone, so I'm back to my other iPhone, but this little guy is probably the best thing ever created and probably my worst enemy ever created. Who might agree with that at the same time? I have an idea for a future book. I won't tell you the name, but it's based on how connected we are. Michelle was speaking earlier about, she's been traveling, and I've been traveling. How many emails and methods of communication can we possibly handle and do it right? And you'll see, this is about a year ago now. At that time, I had 27 different ways that I actively communicated with people that I was keeping up with, and it's more now. It's ridiculous. I mean, nobody can keep up with that, right? I mean, do it right. I mean, fire up an email, bam, 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 bam. I mean, that's not the personal touch. So we live in a world of people looking down. At the airport, this is what I see. Sorry. And me too, because we're all looking down. I'm real big on leadership. That's what my doctorate's in, and we have to remind ourselves, if leaders are looking down, we have to be looking up, okay? So we have to understand somebody's worldview. And what this means real quick is their truth. There is a reason why you believe what you believe. And you could say, why do you still live in Philadelphia? Well, I like Philadelphia. Well, no, there's some reason. It could be you grew up there, that's where you're from, you took a job up there and you stayed, whatever the reason is. But we don't take time to figure somebody's worldview out. And to communicate and solve problems, we have to understand that. So real quickly, a worldview is a set of presumptions that we hold to be true. One of the gurus on worldview, if you will, I quoted him. He says, maybe true, somewhat true, totally false, that we hold consciously or unconsciously, we might not even be aware why until we think about it, consistently or inconsistently about the makeup of the world. Okay, so what does that mean? And I'm going to show you a video. This video, you may think it's funny or not. I don't know. But this is an example of something I created. And it's actually how I first met Michelle. It's had about 7,000 views. And I want you to understand, I am not taking a shot at the printing industry. I love the printing industry. But this shows a communication video and a miscommunication, and it'll show you how to add value at the same time that I hope is a win-win. So we'll play that video.
Hello, I am Joe with Adams Printing. How are you today?
I am fine, thank you.
Let us get right to business. Would you like to buy some printing from me?
No. I thought printing was dead.
No, print is not dead. This is why people in our industry tell you to print out your emails. So, would you like to buy some printing from me?
No. Printing does not seem very modern to me. I like to use online media choices like Facebook and Twitter to market my company.
I do not understand. We will offer you top quality printing, great customer service and competitive pricing. Would you like to buy some printing from me?
No. I thought print was dead and these three things are expected from any supplier.
No, printing is not dead and we can offer you many things beyond these three.
Okay, so printing is not dead but you sound the same as everyone else. So, why should I listen to you?
I am not sure. But we are environmentally certified. We also have been in business many years. And, if our price is too high we will continue to lower it.
Okay, so you are saying if I need you to print a job you will get me a low price?
That is correct. We will not be undersold. If asked me enough times it is likely that I will do your job for free. Our goal is simple. We like to put ink on paper, buy new equipment and keep our cylinders running. We also enjoy putting fires out each day as it keeps us from having to focus on more important things like long-term planning. So, do you want to buy some printing from me?
Wow. I now understand. Can you do anything else?
Oh, yes we can. Did I fail to mention we are a marketing services provider?
Yes, I think you did. What is a marketing services provider?
Oh, this is a new buzzword that many printers use to suggest they can offer you one-stop shopping and solve all of your marketing needs.
So, are you a good marketing company?
No. We are not. In fact, we are very bad marketers. I am not sure we could market our way out of a paper bag. But, this is an often used term in our industry. So, we use it so we sound like everyone else. Does this make sense?
No. You do not seem to have any distinctive qualities or added value.
You're right. I feel this way each day on every sales call. I am not even sure I would buy from me. Is this bad?
Yes. This is terrible. If you would not buy from you, why would I or anyone else want to buy from you?
I do not know. My boss said we were going to get some outside sales and marketing training to help us grow. Instead, he decided not to do any training. We are going to put more money into equipment we do not know how to sell. Do you think this is a good plan?
Not really. Doing those things will get you nowhere. There is more equipment and capacity out there than could possibly be used.
Well, did I tell you we also hope to find a salesperson who has a nice book of business that he will bring to our company? This will keep us from having to develop our own sales. Maybe this will help make you want to buy from us.
Please tell me you are kidding. You are giving me a headache. Your plan is to try to hire a salesperson with an existing book of business. That idea is ridiculous and as out of date as thinking the movie Gone with the Wind is a new release.
I am starting to think you see very little value in what my company offers.
You are catching on. I cannot see that you offer much beyond getting me a low price. In fact, you are saying the same things as everyone else who calls on me. Maybe your company should invest in some training to develop a strategy.
Not likely. Someone could offer us strategies of ways to improve, grow our brand, become more profitable and sell more business, but we like putting out fires, running in circles, buying equipment we cannot market and operating as if it were still the 1980s.
Good luck with that. This is why I say print is dead.
Maybe you are right. If we do not evolve, we will not be in the game. Print is not dead but has changed. What do you suggest we do to help people, like you, besides telling them it is okay to print out their emails?
First, bring me solutions and valuable information. Second, do not waste my time and make things simple. Third, quit bringing us donuts and hanging out in our lobby each week. We seek headache relief, not a sugary diet. Finally, find ways to help us grow our business as a partner and not an order taker. Can you do these things?
I don't know. I will go back and talk to my boss. He has been in meetings today looking for a heavy-hitter salesperson with a book of printing business and some hot new equipment deals.
Well, good luck. By the way, since print is not dead, can I get a price from you?
Sure. I will bid on anything, and if my pricing is high, we will cut it down. We will go low. Low as we need to go. So, how is that for providing value-added service?
Really? Why did you say you would cut my price? I did not even ask you to do that.
I am not sure. I feel like a robot order taker, no pun intended, and have forgotten how to add value to my customers. You are right, I need some training.
Good idea. Go get some training. Quit buying equipment and books of business and focus on truly listening and being creative in your approach.
Thank you. I will go back to work on these things. And, remember, if you need a competitive bid, that we also offer great service and quality. Goodbye.
Are you kidding me? Will these guys ever learn? I need some aspirin.
The whole idea, though, is A, it relates to our industry and it's some of the stuff you guys see. But secondly, even with the robots, you see miscommunication occurring. So I still decided to kill two birds with one stone with that, of people talking two different languages. So let's look at this real quick. One of the chapters you're going to have in the book is called the 5 Whys Communication Model. Let me explain what that means. If I asked you, why don't you go to church on Sunday? This isn't a religious endorsement. I'm just asking something we can all relate to. And you said, because I like to mow my grass. I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cool. Most people stop right there. They don't get to the worldview or the truth. If I said, well, why? So you don't like to go to church? Like, nah, not really. Like, well, why is that? Honestly, with growing up, I was forced to go every single weekend, and it was a bad experience. Well, why was it a bad experience? Because I saw a bunch of people that would just go for an hour a week, punch their timestamp, and I didn't see them act any differently, or quite frankly, they spent their time at church gossiping about who wasn't there. I don't want to be a part of that. So how did that make you feel? I saw a lot of people in the community that didn't go to church were really more authentic and walked the walk, and I have a bad taste in my mouth, and that's why I mow my grass on Sunday. That's their worldview. That's what I want you to think about when you're trying to, as we go through these groups, you've got to get and peel the onion back to get to why someone's standing where they're standing. Because most people are going to give you something like, oh, that's why I feel this way, or I like living in the South. Why? Oh, I don't know, I was born here. Oh, okay, that's cool. And they stop. That's a surface level answer. Well, this isn't for this session, but you've got to get under the iceberg. Under the iceberg. There's a lot more under the iceberg than over the iceberg. Does that make sense to everybody? Okay. We know what we know. When we only can know what we know, we've read, we've experienced, we've traveled, we've gone to. I cannot tell you about a country I've never read about, never gone to, never eaten at. I can tell you my opinion of it. I can tell you my thought of it. I can tell you what other people have told me of it. But I cannot tell you, and simply, even if I could tell you, for example, like an undergrad, I studied in Oxford for 3 months. I can give you my experiences from the early 90s and there. But they're my opinions. It doesn't mean everybody's going to have that same opinion. So here's what I want to move to. Can anybody tell me, can you see that? What do you see? Yell out some words you see in this. As you see these things coming out, we're all looking at the same thing, and we're seeing what? We're seeing different words. We're looking at the same thing, seeing a different way. How about this? What do you see there? What kind of person do you see? Does anybody see a person? Young woman. Okay, cool. Can anybody see the young woman? Side view, feather cap, eyelash, nose, chin. Anybody see anything else? Old lady. Okay, good. Even after I've done this a million times, I do this every time. I have to look at it and find the thing. Old lady, eye, hair, crooked nose, her black hair, her mouth, and her chin. Everybody see that? What does that mean? We're all looking at the same, what? Same picture, and we're seeing something different, okay? All right, so here's what we're going to do. We're going to move through these groups. Remember, as we move through them, your job is to go into your natural default mode. Not because you have to be at work at 7 a.m. and go, well, the reason I do that, Ryan, is because I have to be there because I run the department and we're 24 hours a day. That's great. What I'm asking you, if you're on vacation and you can do whatever you want to do, whether with your family or not, and you have some free downtime, where do you prefer to live? Where do you prefer to look at the TV? I need you to go to default and not overthink this and go, well, it just depends on the situation. If you're doing that, you're overthinking it. Because you are going to spend time watching TV from two different places. Where's the time you spend the most place watching TV? So driver versus rider group. People in the driver group, you got to make a decision between driver and rider. They focus on the what. What needs to be done? What is the timeline? What is the bottom line? What is the result? These people, their goal is to get it done. Questioning. They're questioning and skeptical, but yet they're fast-paced and outspoken at the same time. They want to know how fast they can get from point A to point B. These guys push things and make them happen. More on them. Characteristics. They're dominant. They tend to be direct. They tend to be results-oriented. They're the guys that make things happen, but they may run you over getting it done, but they get it done. By the way, every one of these types has absolutely a place in every business. But you're going to hopefully see pictures of yourself and this other person you've written down. They're firm. They're results-oriented. They're strong-willed. They're forceful. That's a driver. Why is it called a driver? They're the ones that want to drive the car. Why? They want to be in control. You know what I'm talking about. So that's driver. Let's contrast that to the rider group. Their focus is on the how. How are we going to do this? How is it going to be done? How will it impact others? How do they do it? How do they help along the way? Think about rider. How can I assist you in navigating the course? Their goal, instead of get it done, is get along. They tend to be more accepting and warm, but they tend to be more cautious and reserved. And instead of how fast can you get from point A to point B, they tend to support efforts to how smoothly they can run things from point A to point B. Here's some characteristics of a rider. More even-tempered, more accommodating, more humble, and that's not in a bad way, but just probably a little more down-to-earth in terms of how they deal with stuff, slower a little bit, more patient, a little more tactful, tend to be more even-keeled or steady, okay? Now, I'm giving you the broad brush overview, and you've got a book. This is, by the way, this is my revised version. This is the one I'm adding to it. There's a fifth, but the other four are in here. So there's one that you have questions on. You can talk to me afterwards. But I've added this because that was the one thing that I wanted to add. Does everybody have a feel for at least where in the room in the house or where you watch the TV, where you would be more inclined to be a driver or a rider? Remember, there's no right or wrong. By the way, these are all preferences. I didn't say that before. Remember your handwriting. You prefer to write with your right hand. You prefer to write with your left hand. Can you write with your left hand? Yes. Can you write with your right hand? Yes. Can you do both? Yes. But one's more comfortable for you. Does everybody understand that? This is not like, well, I'm a this or no, but one's more comfortable for you. Does everybody, how many drivers do we have? Would you say that you could? Okay. Don't be ashamed, guys. So I'll tell you as we get through it. And how many riders do we have? Okay, cool. All right. And how many people are struggling? A little bit? Okay. Now, here's a question. Somebody that's not scared to say it. Driver, just one person who said they were a driver. What's one thing that you like most about a rider? Cautious. Good. Good. We're going to use that because we got a lot of stuff to cover, so we'll use that. Rider, one person. Tell me, what do you like most about a driver? Say that again? Task-oriented. Results. Okay, great. All right, now, another person. What irritates you, driver, the most about a rider? Slow. Okay, that's good. This is why we want to do this. All right, now, rider, what irritates you the most about a driver? Say that again. Run you over. Run you over. That's right. Okay, so now, the other person that I told you to be thinking about, the person that annoys you, irritates you, whatever, here's my question for you. Were they the same or different than you? Same. Interesting. We usually find one of two things. They're the same and they annoy you because they're the same, or they're completely different and you don't understand where they're coming from. And I'm going to go through, we're going to keep repeating this, so be thinking. All right. So, second group. Now we're talking about how people communicate. This is how, in our world, we think of extroversion, introversion, and people don't even understand what those terms mean. People say, well, they're introverted. What that means by definition in Myers-Briggs, introverted people take in the world and they're reflecting internally. It has nothing to do with how talkative somebody is, okay? I'm just giving you that just as a takeaway. He's an introvert. No. Introverted people, many of them are speakers and trainers, but it exhausts them at the end of the day. It's where you get your energy from, people or from time of reflection. The terms are used in our society incorrectly. But speak first, think later versus think first, speak later. All right, speak first, think later people, they're focused on the person. They're tuned into what's going on around them. They live kind of like thinking out loud. They're processing things. You know, we could do that. We're talking, and they're in the meeting like, I got an idea. What if we did? And they're not really thinking through what they say. They're just saying it out loud. Now, if you're in the other group, you're like, the other group many times looks smarter because they're thinking too. They're just not saying it out loud. And people don't realize this. I'm going to show you the contrast in a second. So this group, if you look at the bottom, says, oh, God, after the meeting, oh, why did I say that? I shouldn't have said that. I was stupid. Why did I say that? You know what I'm talking about. These guys are just shooting from the hip and saying stuff. More of these guys, they prefer to communicate in talking than in writing. They want to come talk to you in your door. These are the people that walk up and sent you an email and say, I just sent you an email, but I'm going to come tell you. Really? That's awesome. Because it was like 30 seconds ago you sent it. Yeah, no, I just thought I'd come tell you what I wrote. I'm like, great. It's good time management. These people tend to have a wide variety of interests, but they don't go deep in any. These people love everything, but they don't go that deep in any of them. Oh, I love golf, and I love tennis too. I also love to run. I love to swim. I don't really do any of them that actively, but man, I love a little bit of everything. I love life. I love this. I love that. They work ideas out loud. They learn best by discussing things and sitting there and discussing them out loud. They're very sociable and expressive. You're going to pick that up many times. They place great emphasis on relationships. And they get their energy, as I said before, from people and outside stimuli. You take this group too long away from people, they lose energy. And I want you to be thinking, it's a session, your customer, your coworker, your manager, your employee. Be thinking of how these people get their energy. This is how we communicate better. All right. That's speak first people. Speak first, think later. Now we're going to contrast. Think first, speak later. These guys, instead of being so focused on the people, they're focused on the concept. They're often asked in meetings, why didn't you say anything? Until years later, when I was running my company, I never understood that I'd had people in meetings that really, really, really were thinking deep and reflecting, but they didn't say much in the meeting. And I'd say in the meeting, what do you think, Tracy? She's like, I don't know. I'm still digesting. I got to take some time. And I'm kind of like, come on, in leadership, we got to speak up. Well, what she was saying. Now, this same person would walk up to me a day and a half later and say, you know what, I've really, really been thinking about what you said. And I'm like, about what? And they really, and so it's a totally different world. The other group doesn't even remember what they said in the meeting, and this group's taken it inside and really spent time reflecting. Remember, the difference is both people are thinking. One of them's doing it externally. You can just hear it. The other one's doing it internally. That's the difference in just extroversion and introversion in a nutshell, by the way. So what this looks like is they're in tune with their inner ideas and expressions. They prefer to communicate more than talking. They prefer to communicate by writing emails or putting their thoughts down on paper. A lot of times when you're having a dialogue, I'll find something like, for example, my wife, sometimes it's hard for me to understand completely where she's at, but she's better when she has time to actually, sometimes it's through a text or an email, to really explain something to me that I completely missed. And I have other people like that. They explain better in writing, and that makes sense if that's the best way they communicate in terms of to get whatever they're trying to get out. They like to reflect, as I said. They like to think through things internally. They don't have so many things. Like, I like gardening, I like swimming, I like tennis, I like basketball, I like this. They tend to have, I have a hobby of rebuilding furniture, and I like to be in the outdoors, and I love my garden. And man, they love it, and they go deep in it. They are more private by nature. Doesn't mean they're not outgoing, but they don't have this huge circle that everybody's their buddy. They're going to keep it a little more close, and they're going to go deeper with those people. And they get energy. They have to recharge by having time alone to reflect. Now, I want to make sure I'm clear. This first group, they're not the Energizer bunny where they just go around from thing to thing to thing. As we get through this, there are people, like I said, that are speakers and trainers, and whatever group you're in, you've got to have downtime. But if you're a person that needs to be around people to pull your energy out, you're going to be in that first group I just described. If you're a person that needs to get your energy back by having some time to get away, you get some energy back. So that's what we're looking at there. So here's what, hopefully, I think you pretty much have enough to figure it out. How many people here, everybody can't see it, really doesn't matter, and hopefully you're proud of who you are as a human being. There's no right or wrong, guys. There's no right or wrong, so don't be scared about raising your hand. I'm glad to tell you my style's on any of them. It's just who you are. How many people more speak first? Okay, good. You're in my camp. How many people here are think first? Okay, that makes sense. All right, now, somebody from speak first, tell me what you like most about think first people. Speak first people speak, so, that's a good group to, anything? Very detail-oriented. Okay, good. Think first people, what do you like most about the speak first? They get ideas out in the open, exactly. It might not be well thought through, but they throw it out there, right? They're not scared to say something and go like, well, I don't know why I said that, but they get a conversation started. All right, now, what irritates you the most about the other group? We'll give think first the shot first since there's more. Think first. What's the most irritating thing, just so we can have some dialogue? They throw too much stuff out. How about speak first? What's the most irritating thing about a think first? Right. Can't get them to commit to, you want to keep kind of thinking through it or not sure where they stand. Exactly. All right, now, the other person I told you about, to be thinking about, that person that gets on your nerves or that person that, are they the same or are they different than you? Different. Who else? Just to say it out loud, doesn't matter. Different? So you were talking probably two different languages. And if you're talking in one way and they're talking in one way, think about, I'm trying to, if you pull these parts together, you can see there's where some friction's coming about. And you've got more to go through, so that when you get all through all this, it'll make sense. Okay, good. This is how we take in the world around us. Big picture or just the facts, okay? I have a feeling what a lot of this group might be, but here's what this means. The big picture group, the focus is on how people take in the world around them. I'm not making a decision on the world. I'm simply taking in the world. I'm looking at this room, and I'm going, man, the lights, got this. I'm looking at the big picture, and I'm looking, how am I going to take in the information, the stimuli in this room? This group tends to be more future-oriented. This group tends to focus more on relationships and connections. This group would look at 2 times 2 equals 4 and say, that's an example of multiplication. Just follow me, and I'll show you the opposite. They look for ways to connect dots sometimes other people don't see. This could lead to this, could lead to this, and other people are like, what are you talking about? They look for patterns and things that could tie together. They're often told by others, you were so focused on all this stuff that you missed the journey along the way. And I'll give you an example. I tend to fall in this big picture group, and here's a personal example. I could literally, and I'm working on this hard, so I'm telling you, you can strengthen that left hand. You want to work and strengthen. You want to become very good at both of them. But I could be driving down to the beach, and I saw a sign that says, social media is Prince's cousin. I saw this like 3 weeks ago at spring break. I'm like, social media is Prince's cousin. They're referring to stuff back, and I was thinking about this. So we're at the beach at sunset, and here's where my mind was. Social media's doing that. That would tie into that speech, would tie into the book thing I'm doing. And my wife looked at me, and she's like, are you even focused on like the sunset and the water at your feet? I'm like, my mind is way out here somewhere. Is that wrong or right? It doesn't matter. I mean, that's where your mind goes. That's your natural handwriting, okay? Now, more oriented towards future possibilities. They love what if, what could be, what might be, how might we get there. This group tends to be imaginative, very creative. Again, they didn't jump from thought 1 to 7. So what I had to learn in speaking was to circle back. Does that make sense? Do you understand? We went from point 1 to point 2. We have to circle back. When I first started speaking, I would love to paint this big rosy picture. And the people that were big picture people go, I think I got it. The other people had no clue what I was talking about. So you'd come back and say, let me explain to you where I went there. Here's when I went. Bomb, then this happened, then this happened. Oh. And also, I meet the needs of the big picture group because I confirmed that they did follow after all. So this group also is really big on trusting their hunches and their sixth sense. have a feeling. I don't know why. My gut's telling me this is what we should do. Now, you're going to see in a second when I contrast this with just the facts, where headbutting comes in. Because you can, especially in printing, I have a feeling we need to run it this way. Like, based on what? It's my feeling that this will work. And they move quickly towards conclusions. Okay? So, now I'm going to contrast that to just the facts so you can see it. Their focus is on how people take, again, focus on how we're taking in information, but instead of being future-oriented, they're focused on the present. What do you touch, taste, smell, see? What can you put your hands around? What's tangible? 2 times 2 equals 4 is not an example of multiplication. 2 times 2 equals 4, if you said it to this group, said, that's a mathematical fact. What do you mean it's an example of multiplication? I mean, 2 times 2 equals 4, 2 times equals 4. But they're often told they sometimes get so caught up in minutia that they miss the forest of the trees. They can't see the big picture because they're, well, how's that going to work? How are we going to do that? How's this going to happen? So you can see why both groups are important. More on this group. Again, oriented towards the present and the now. Observe and notice. They're very good with details and specifics. You know, looking at this room, I see the light, and I see that. I see that's about 6 inches there, and it's about that. The big pictures, you can say, man, those are bright lights, and there are lights everywhere. They're going to explain it more flowery, and the other group's going to look at it that way. This group really doesn't trust their hunches. They trust their experience. They are strongly going to trust their experience, and they want to focus on actual, tangible data. So if you're presenting, when I'm presenting to an owner that wants data, and I'm like, let me tell you a big story of where we can go. Like, I don't want to hear a story. I want you to tell me specifically exactly how this is going to work. Like, okay, first, we're going to increase sales calls 20 today, do this. Second, we're going to, okay, now we're talking my language. They develop their thoughts logically instead of step 1 to step 7, one methodical step at a time, and it's thought through. It may bore the other big picture group. They're like, come on, we don't want to hear every step. We got the gist. But they want to say, here's how we got there. And they love not what if thinking, they love what is thinking. Okay? So, with that in mind about how you take in information, how many people here, again, we all do both, would say they're more big picture? Okay? And how many people here would say they're more just the facts? Don't be scared of who you are. Just realize that I've got there you go. I've realized over the years it doesn't make a hillbilly's difference. It's like every session I ever go to, I see something like, this is the best I ever heard and the worst I ever heard. And it's big picture, somebody from the big picture. What do you like most about a just the facts person? They drive you back towards reality. You're out there saying, we could do this and we could do this. And, this is a great group, big picture, for brainstorming. Man, they got a lot of ideas. But the problem, you ever seen Canvas magazine? A couple of guys that are publishers, we get together, we talk about 1,000,000 ideas to solve the world's problems, and we walk away a couple hours later, if we're not careful, and we've solved no problems. When I'm with that group, I divert to my left-hand style to say, guys, we got 2 hours. We've got to put something tangible down. And you're going to say, whoa, that's not your preferred style. Hey, you're right. But that's what was needed to get something done. You see what I'm saying? Because if you're with a group of those people, even if you go, man, we're having so much fun. When I go to the Myers-Briggs and DISC training and they put me with my own group, I hate those people. I hate them. I really do. They're like, oh my God, we could do this and we could do that, and just the world's our oyster. I'm like, no, it does not work that way. They're like, aren't you supposed to be one of us? I'm like, I don't want to be one of you. I want to run. And if this is anything what I'm like, I'm never coming back. And I'm like, so I play devil's advocate, okay? All right, so just the facts, people. What do you like most about big picture? Open up your view. Yep, good. All right, now, what irritates you most about the other group? Getting unfocused. Absolutely. All right, now jumping down to this, that other person I told you to think about. Were they the same as you, or were they different than you? Same, okay. Interesting. So just think through that. Okay, all right. Let's move through this. I want you to look at this. Big picture. If you're a big picture, raise your hand one more time if you're a big picture. I'm going to need somebody to say something, so don't be scared. You're going to look at a picture, and I'm going to show you something. And again, just the facts, raise your hand one more time. All right. I'm going to just need one person group. There's no right or wrong in this. You take 1 minute. I want you to look at this and just stare at this and look and tell me, don't say anything. Just silently stare at this. All right, somebody from big picture. Just tell me anything you see. Landscape. 3 people. Lake shark. All right, cool. All right, you're seeing visual. Just the facts. Anything you see. Did you see a bunch of paint on a canvas? See? A bunch of paint on a canvas. Other people are seeing, what did you say, a shark? The idea is we're looking at the same thing, and some of us are going to notice the textures or the paint or a bunch of paint there, and others are going to see pictures and people and things like that in there. And both of us are right, okay? It's just an example to show you. This is a classic example for this is used. I use this many times for that. All right, now we got to go to how we make a decision, and this is a lot to absorb, but this will make sense. The head group makes a decision logically, okay? And what that means is they're going to look at stuff and they focus on how people and how we make a decision. We've taken in the room, we've taken in the information, we've taken in, but we haven't made a decision on what we're going to do with it. We've just simply absorbed it. So this group is very logical. They're focused on the facts. They want everyone treated fairly and the same. I mean, they don't want, different standards of truth. They make decisions, but they're able to take out the emotion of the decision, okay? They can come across as being tough or hard or lacking emotion. That's not necessarily true, but they strive for an objective standard of truth. They can remove themselves logically from a situation and look at it. For example, if you had a neighbor that lost their job and you knew they had been missing work over and over and over or were late for whatever reason, you said, man, if you don't get that together, you're going to lose your job. This group would be able to look at them and say, I feel for you, man. But I mean, in all seriousness, how many mornings can you have? They are able to step back and look at it and make a logical, objective decision and not interject themselves into the situation more like the other group I'm going to show you is going to do. Does that make sense? We all do both things, but let me show you how this other group looks. They tend to rely on their heart more in making a decision. Even when that person who lost their job, they realize they should have been at work, but they say, golly, but why can't they give you one more chance? I mean, you've been there 20 years. I mean, what are you going to do? They interject themselves into the decision, and they're subjective in it. And that's your default when you're dealing with coworkers and customers and all that kind of stuff. So they tend to make decisions guided on their own personal values, and they want everyone kind of treated as an individual. So if Mary shows up at 8 and Bob shows up at 8:30 and you're supposed to be there at 8, you got to understand Bob's situation. Bob has the kids and he can't quite get here. Everybody's treated this way, and they're going to interject themselves more into the situation and making a decision. So more subjective. The other group can pull themselves back and look at it more objective. Here's a scenario real quick to break down. If your friend, well, let me ask you a question. Who here would say they're in the head group? All right. Good. I'm glad you raised your hand. And who's say they're in the heart group? All right. So here's what I want you to do. If a friend arrived at a party and you're in the head group, and you looked at them and like, oh my God, guy or girl, I mean, guys probably, what I'd say to one of my friends, I'd probably say it a little different. I was saying it to one of my female friends, but, oh no, is she really going to wear that? I mean, how would you, if you saw somebody in a friend that was going to be not dressed for the occasion, if you're in the head group, how would you tell them that? Would you just tell them straight out? Or would you worry about how their feelings felt? Or would you just kind of say, look, dude, that ain't going to get it done. I'm trying to be real nice here, but the heart group might say what? Sugarcoat it? Try to say the same. That's nice, but you're going to watch them try to sugarcoat it a little bit more because they're trying to watch the feelings, okay? So especially in production, especially in human interactions, when people want to take their toys and take them home, you don't do it my way? Fine, just do it your way. I'm gonna walk away. They might look real tough, but at the core of their heart, because they're getting their feelings hurt so easy, and these other people go, well, I don't know why you got so upset earlier. We were just dealing with that job. I mean, I'm not mad at you. I'm just mad that we can't get it done. Well, I'm upset. They might not say it. It could be a guy sitting there like, they're never going to admit it, but they're personally upset. Does that make sense to everybody? All right, so we said how many in the head and the heart. Real quick, because we're coming to we're going to kind of go through one more session and tie it all together, which is going to be the best one on time orientation. How many in the head group, logical, what do you like best about the heart group? Empathize, good. And how about on the other side? Heart group, what do you like the best about the head group? They can deal with it. They're going to go, I had an issue years ago with an employee that's had a serious odor issue. And I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, it was really bad. And my natural style is focused on the person. And I needed somebody who could go in and just be very factual and get to the point and just deal with this about the deodorant and bathing and cleanse. And I'm not trying to be funny. I'm being serious. I couldn't thank them enough for handling that. They did it tactfully. They did it simply. They just got right to the point and dealt with the issue. I felt I would have said too much and tried to, well, we're not really trying to say you smell, you don't smell that bad. I mean, there's people I've smelled worse. I mean, I would have screwed the whole thing up. All right. So let me ask you the question. The person I told you to think about that annoys you, are they the same or different than you? Different. Okay, good. So, again, it's funny to notice the contrast. You'll rub up with people that are around you, like I said, that go, he irritates me because he's just like me and we grate each other's nerves, or I don't even understand where this person lives, what room of the house. They're different. Okay? All right, the last one, 5 o'clock sharp versus 5 o'clock somewhere. This is about your time orientation. And literally, I want you to get your hands around this. 5 o'clock sharp people, literally, if you're meeting them for lunch, I have a friend of mine, it was a fraternity brother, and we meet at 1 p.m. for lunch. He is calling me at 12:55 saying, where are you? We're meeting at 1. But to him, that's late. And I'm like, well, the other group is going to see in a minute, like anywhere between 1 and 1:10 is about right. So this group is focused on living kind of in a very planned, orderly way. They seek to make decisions and come to solutions. They want to go through the data, but let's make a decision and move forward. Let's not keep talking about the same thing over and over and keep exploring. Well, here's another option. Here's another option. Guys, we've gone through it. We've made a decision. Let's put the plan together. Let's close it. Let's move on. They're scheduled and systematic. Bum, 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 bum. They like to look at options, again, decide and move on. They're methodical and plan things out. They seek to avoid last-minute changes. Last-minute changes kill these people, and they're stressed to death by them. Now, I'll give you a story. A friend of mine, she's in the book. I quoted her name. We were at spring break a couple years ago. And sure enough, even in a relaxed environment, my friend and I wanted to go play golf. And I was in relaxed mode, and the kids were there, and both families. She wanted to relax on vacation to know which day, from the moment we got there, we were going to play golf. I'm like, what difference does it make? I don't know. I don't know what the weather's going to be. I mean, can't we just figure that out? It's like, for me to relax, and this seems like extreme, I would like to know, because we're going to have the kids all day, and we wanted to go do something just have some time away so you guys can watch the kids at the beach one day, and the rest of the time we'll all be at the beach. But can you tell me what day that's going to be? And that became a little bit of an argument. When it did, I told my friend, I'm like, it's his fault. But really, and that sounds silly, but to get a sense of relief, let's plan it, let's decide it, let's put it on the calendar, let's book it, and let's be done with it, all right? Now, this other group, 5 o'clock somewhere, they like to avoid detailed plans. They're casual and open-minded. They're very spontaneous. What do you want to eat? Oh, whatever, man, I'm good. I'm flexible, I'm game. Adaptable, they change courses very well. They like to keep their options open. They keep exploring and exploring and exploring and exploring. And this other group's like, I mean, guys, we could spend the next 20 years doing this. We've got to make a decision. Or we've made that decision. Why are we revisiting the same thing? Oh, you've sat in those meetings again and again and again. They like keeping things open to the last minute, and they're actually energized and actually do better doing their work at the last minute. There's data that backs that up. That sounds incredibly crazy. But if you tell them they have till 1 a.m. at Wednesday night to do it, you're going to get it at 12:58 p.m. or right before that deadline, because they're going to work right up to it, because they say, I get a spur of energy and then I just adrenaline push through. And the other group's like, are you insane? I mean, so how many people would say they're 5 o'clock sharp? Okay, all right, good. This is a good. And how many people would say they're 5 o'clock somewhere? And again, if you struggle at the beach, here's the way I would say it. If your kids or your wife said, you need some rest, you've been working hard, would you set your alarm clock to get up at the same time, or would you just say, I'll get up when I get up, or say, no, I'm going to get up and go enjoy the beach because I'm going to plan out the day? That's how you need to think about it, okay? So if you were planning a vacation, because we're closing up here, if you were planning a vacation, 5 o'clock sharp, well, let me just tell you, since we don't have time. When I do these exercises on 5 o'clock sharp, they will go through an exercise, because we're wrapping up here, and they will put you in a group, and they will tell me they have gone through, they've researched kayak and orbits, and looked at the vacation, and looked at the fares, and figured out when to go, and where to go, and what to take, and the best time of year, and the seasonal rates, and what's open. I kid you not. I mean, the other group, you put them over here, and they're like, man, we're ready to go. I'm like, what does that mean? They're like, we got a bathing suit, we got suntan lotion, we've got enough money, and we want to go to Florida. And I kid you, it's hilarious. It happens every time. And when you get people relaxed or whatever, and they're like, let's party, let's go. I mean, we don't need to plan all that stuff out. We'll figure it out. We got enough money, we'll make it work. That's where their natural room in the house is. That's where the view of the television is for that. And that's when we butt into each other like that. So we talked about sharp somewhere. 5 o'clock sharp people, let me just ask you this. What do you like best about 5 o'clock somewhere people? Flexible? Spontaneous? Okay, good. And 5 o'clock somewhere, what do you like best about 5 o'clock sharp? Keep things moving? Maybe we're decisive, get something done, check off the list. Let me ask you this one, go to the end. What was the other person who I told you to be thinking about? Were they the same as you or different than you? Same? What types are you? You know, we talked about driver, rider. Everybody remember that. Were you driver? Who was a driver? Let's see what you remember. Good. Who was a rider? Speak first, talking out loud, whatever. How many speak first people do we have? Reflecting inside, think first people. Good. This is part of our remembering this because we covered a lot of stuff. Big picture versus big picture group. You know, jump, okay? And just the facts group. Good. Head, objective, heart, more interjecting our subjectivity. So how many head? Okay, good. How many heart? Good. All right, and then our Jimmy Buffett friends. 5 o'clock sharp people and 5 o'clock somewhere people. And of course, in most of these groups, you have a very much of a split. So understanding and adapting our styles, which is the crux of the book that you have in front of you, you can read in depth, except for driver and rider, it's all in there. Deep stuff with questions to ask yourself makes us for better communications. You know, great communications, guys, are more important than ever. Our world is changing faster than we can get our hands around it, and you know what I'm talking about. I don't have time to give you the story I gave the other day, but great written and verbal communications are vital. So here's your takeaway. Anticipate, this is the last slide, anticipate other person's communication preferences. Everybody has a perception reality. I did this the other day. I want everybody to do this real quick as we leave. Take your pen above your head like this. Take your pen above your head. And I want you to watch at the ceiling, your own pen, and hopefully everybody knows clockwise. Younger people don't know that anymore. And you're going to turn your pen clockwise above your head. And you're slowly going to bring your pen down. Keep going clockwise above your head. Should be about eye level now. Slowly bring it down. Keep going clockwise and start looking down at your pen. And looking down at your pen. And which way does your pen appear to be going? Right. And just like I showed you in those dots, just like I showed you in the picture, just like I showed you in the handwriting exercise, nothing changed except the way you're looking at it. So remember, think about these exercises. People are coming at things from two different directions. Number 2, find common ground, areas, and interests. Oh, you're from Rochester too. So was one of my best friends. That's not that hard to remember, but it's so important. 3, don't let your emotions get the best of you. It's better before you fire off the email that you regret or say something, just walk away, take a deep breath, and realize you're not going to be hurt by coming back at a later time. We know that, but we want to get our word in. It's probably always better to come back an hour later. Be authentic, open, actively hear somebody out, and look for that alternative, the win-win, the third alternative. Is there a better, not a compromise, a better solution? So, in communications, it's not your way or the highway. There's a new and better way. So adapt your communications and make sure you define the situation with the person you're talking to, coworker, customer, vendor, employee, manager. Don't let the situation define you. You have books in front of you. That's my information if you want to connect through any social media channels. Thank you for letting me be here. I appreciate it.